Hey, good morning, guys. This is Cliff reporting in live from Command Central. We're at the Upcountry Farmers Market. It is early in the morning, and before it gets too busy, I wanted to take a minute. I've been getting some requests for information about some of the products, the tools that we got in the shop here, and especially that little guy down there at the end, and the big one that I'm going to start off with here. Ignore any setup noises you hear in the background, banging or whatever. I thought this was a perfect opportunity, since I'm in the van, to go ahead and give you guys a quick rundown on the tools and how I built them, give you a head start on maybe what you need to do it yourself. Okay, let me go ahead and flip us around and I'll get us going. A little bit of a wet one this morning, just getting rolling. So before we get too busy, I thought we'd just go ahead and take a look at this one here. So what we have is we have a 2x36 multi-tool attachment that's been bolted to the side of a Palmgren variable speed motor, and it's upside down. There's the information on the unit I'm using. It's not the most expensive one, but so one of the key factors is then I took and flipped this around, the motor around, so that it's rotating away. And then I've got this bolted to this side, and it wasn't necessarily just a 2-minute job. There needed to be some adjustments, some spacers needed to be drilled out in here, and to get the whole wheel hub assembly to be bolted on and to get it trued takes a little bit of finagling. A lot of times you'll bolt this wheel on, and if you look even on their website when they show you how they bolt it on, you'll see it wobbling back and forth. To get this wheel truly trued up and running smooth, it takes a little bit of time to address that and pay attention to what's going on. I've trued this upper wheel as well, and then adjusted some different things. I've adjusted this platen so it's got some space in here. I can get a nice little bit of slack right in here and get a nice little convex as I need it. The overall machine is great because this particular unit has preset into it 900 RPMs, 1800 RPMs, and I never even used this button, 3600. The one I most commonly hit is I hit 1800 and then kick it up a couple notches. The reason why this is a bench grinder and not a buffer is the bench grinder has these protective shields built into it, and I really prefer that. I've got this one, there's 3 bolts or 3 holes, and I've got it rotated, and if needed I would drill 3 new holes to make sure that the part of the wheel that I want access to, again, this wheel is spinning away and I want to not be able to hit this in the front. I only want the part that I need exposed. This could even come up a little higher, but you get the idea. And so if you bump into the side of it, it's not going to shoot it back at you, things of that nature. So here's what it looks like when it's on. I'll turn it on slow speed. That's 900 RPMs. And then while it's running, I'll actually spray the rubbing alcohol on here and wipe this down just to give it a freshen. Use compound on this usually. Might as well show this too while I'm here. A lot of people ask about the cardboard wheel. This is what the cardboard wheel looks like after you hit it with some sandpaper to true it up. That's another way you can clean it, is just to use sandpaper on it. Once it's got the compound embedded in the pukas, it gets this semi-hard, I don't know if you can actually see it flex. It flexes just a little bit. Of course, side to side it's squishy, but it's fairly hard, but it's soft, and it's got a nice velvety texture to it. It also dissipates heat really well because it's so many pukas or so many holes in the middle of the corrugations. So that's this machine. You have to flip the motor around. You have to finagle with bolting it up a little bit to get that to actually mate up rotate this around so it's in a different position. And then you have a machine that's going away from you. This actually shoots out the door with a lot of the dust. Of course, some of it I need to wipe down a little better. You can just keep things wiped and vacuumed. If you had some sort of exhaust system, that'd be great. A dust shield on the top here would be good. A spark shield would be great. And that's something we're probably going to be working on. Okay, let's go on to the next one. Next is just a small little palm gran, and I have this also positioned in a way to where it's rotating up and away. It should have a shield all around the front of it so you can't bump into it and have things shoot back towards you. That would be the number one thing I would add to my list of things to add to it coming up. All right, here we go. Probably the biggest thing I get asked a lot about in my videos is this little machine right here. And it's a great little machine. It has a variable speed controller right here. It does not have a quick on and off lever, and I kind of enjoy that on off lever. This one doesn't come with one of those. It is fully variable speed. That's at about 700 RPMs, 500 RPMs. Looks like 400 is my lowest on this. Normally I run it fairly high. For the stropping step, you want to have this thing going at a decent speed, but you can see how smooth it's running. I took off the platen for the moment while I'm doing some adjustments to it to actually get the step back just a hair. It was hitting the backside of the leather. Something to mention with the leather belts is there's a seam that overlaps on these machines, and if the leather, so the overlap is going this way back here, which means the under part is moving towards the front, and if it snags, it'll hit the front of the platen and snag on it on the inside. So that's something I've never actually talked about, is there's an overlap seam on your leather belt, and you got to make sure it's going the right way. If you have this thing reversed around, and so the overlap seam is going into the knife as you're dragging it across, I think it'll delaminate, which is what this one actually started to do right there. But you don't want the inside to catch the front edge on the platen as well. This machine, though, runs very smooth. So far, I've had not huge rust issues. This inner piece right here has gotten a little rusty. You can put a little light oil and Scotch-Brite it to keep it clean. Everything else seems to be holding up really well. The pivot actually has a bearing. The pivot itself, they put a bearing in the pivot, which was unnecessary, but they've done it. The spring loaded is too heavy and will stretch out the leather, so I've decreased the spring tension. Let me turn this off so we can look at that. So the spring tension on this was about twice as much and way too heavy, and so it was actually stretching out all the leather belts. So this will take care of that. Okay, had to stop for a minute. I actually have just a few customers coming through this morning, but before we do, let's finish up with the last three here on the bench that I'm currently in my lineup. And maybe the thing you can notice too is I don't have a lot of complicated different machines around. There's a level of simplicity that allows you to have everything you need without having an overly complicated, cluttered system in place. This machine here is probably one of the first 1x30s that I built with adding the Penn State motor. At that time, we had built an adapter plate, and we were going to offer the adapter plate to people so that everyone else could build this machine. I had these drive wheels custom bored. These are the original stock Harbor Freight wheel. I bought 50 of them, and I had them custom bored out to 15 millimeters to fit the shaft on the Penn State. this little setup here. And as I had the adapter plate created, this was 3 or 4 years ago. At that point, Penn State suddenly decided to discontinue the affordable motor. At one time, this Penn State motor was $130, including the controller. So the next little machine in the lineup is this, and this is the 1/2 inch wide 200 grit diamond wheel. And then it's got the motor with the controller. It sounds louder than it is. At high speed, this is running at about 900 to 1,000 RPMs. And it took a little bit to true it up. This is about the speed I prefer, but other people have had better luck or had good reported back. They've had good use with maybe a 1750 speed bench grinder. I would not go faster than that, or you will see heat discoloration on your serrations. I have this setup pointing away from me, and I sharpen up here on the top. You could have it reversed with the motor coming down, or actually I guess you'd want it still like this, but you could build a horizontal plate here and then push in and watch the serrations. I know somebody else has built a swing arm version that holds the angle perfectly, and then you just touch it into position. All of those things would work. The main idea is that this, because it's rotating straight up and over the top, allows for the groove, it to stay in the groove. When you use the Dremel bit version, it tends to want to spin out of the serration and you have to hold it in place. With this spinning straight up over the top, you just hold it steady and it cuts a nice clean groove and stays, actually wants to track towards the deepest part of the groove and stay there. Okay, so that's the little serration machine. And then the final one, this is the newest version of the 1x30 with the new Konsu or Morphon, basically the small sewing machine motor, same idea. I use this as my speed control and my on-off switch. And I really like that setup. This could be bolted to the back. It could be in its own environment, so it's not even exposed. And with this one here, I've got it set up for dust extraction, which will be the next thing that we work on in this truck. I'm gonna remove part of the back area to get suction to go down. We have a large air cleaner machine down here underneath. Here is the inside of that. We've got the idler wheels. These are the ones that we're having custom made. They're polyurethane and with a precision bearing in them. And then here's the new drive wheel. The first batch did have a little bit of issue with some convexity to it, or concave. The rubber had actually expanded out a little bit. The second batch, which is coming now, we have 300 more on the way. I made sure, and it's going to have just a very slight crown to it, which should really improve the tracking for those. And we made sure to double check the issue where it was slightly out of a few 10,000ths off on the inside. Some people had a tight fit that seemed to stop some people. Other people just took a rubber mallet and got it right on there, but some people got hung up that it wasn't an absolutely flawless fit, and this will allow them to take care of that. So these are currently being manufactured, and we should have them back stocked in our shop in the next 3 weeks or so. I think that's it for the shop, for the truck. We got the 3 machines. I use a 3-step process for sharpening. I go with a coarse belt, a fine belt, and then a stropping step. If I need to, I can go do a serration restore, hit it on the Scotch-Brite wheel, and then buff it right here to a push-cut sharp serration. Machetes, I go from here to here, bring up the large burr, convex slightly, deburr on this wheel. If I need to, I can do any combination of the above. I didn't talk much about this machine. This is the twin head Kotoku. The twin head Kotoku, its primary purpose is for salon scissors, and it has twin heads that spin And that's it. At this point, the battery system on the vehicle is run by these two golf cart batteries right here into a 3,000 watt inverter right here. And then all the wiring and cabling is a hot mess, and it's all tucked behind, so you can't really see it. And all the power cords tucked down in behind over there and underneath. And that's it. Two golf cart batteries, a 3K inverter. I need to do some rebuilding, but there's some of the wiring. It's all falling apart a little bit and needs some help. Okay, so it's about an hour after I started recording this. Of course, I had to stop and start when I had customers coming in. It's still pretty rainy out there. I am happy to be tucked inside my little van, and I'm glad I was able to make this video quick today. Hopefully you got to see what you needed, the information that you're looking for. It's getting busier and getting noisier, so I'm just going to sign off right here, and we'll try and do some more bench videos from the home shop in the near future. I've got some things lined up. I just haven't had time. I've been trying to get back on track. So here's one thing checked off the list. This is shop tour inside the van, little breakdown of the machines, and hope you guys have a great day. Thanks for checking it out, and aloha.